everyone, I'm Megan O'Leary, and this is your UFC Minute. The UFC returns this weekend with a fresh face who is destined to make headlines. If winning a title on the regional circuit wasn't enough for the top welterweight prospect in MMA, he went on to win the toughest tournament in sports when he tore through the competition on The Ultimate Fighter. What's the next step for this rising UFC star? Making their debut in the Octagon. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights. I'm Megan O'Leary, and this is your UFC Minute. As a fighter's wins begin to add up, the pressure to maintain momentum becomes a major factor. Every fighter who competes in the Octagon will tell you that he will take a win by any means possible. But as one of the UFC's top strikers, this welterweight star is taking the judges out of the equation, as he has used fists and feet to finish each of his opponents during his winning streak by way of spectacular knockout. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights.
To become a legend in the UFC, a fighter needs someone to push him to be great. McGregor had Diaz, Jones had Cormier, and Silva had Sonnen. Each series didn't just pit the best against the best, but it matched up rivals that had personal scores to settle. And when the Octagon door shut, the bad blood reached a boiling point. Who will be the one to step up and put this feud to rest? Or give up bragging rights once and for all?
Hey everyone, I'm Megan O'Leary, and here's what you need to know for your UFC Minute. It's an old fight game adage that fans love nothing more than a knockout. If that's the case, then they will love this welterweight banger, who was celebrated today for delivering the most knockouts in UFC history. A record achieved thanks to his devastating prowess in the Octagon with his fists, feet, elbows, and knees. That's it for today. I'm Megan O'Leary, and this is your UFC Minute. This weekend, we brace for a crucial matchup, which is expected to shake up an entire division. To get into position for a world title shot, this fighter has fought tooth and nail against the best the welterweight division has to offer. And while getting into a #1 contenders match is sweet enough, if this fighter beats his heated rival to earn that shot at the belt, the victory would be even more satisfying. That's it for today. I'm Megan O'Leary, and this is your UFC Minute. We've seen some of the top fighters in the world go from relatively unknown to some of the biggest names in the sport. There's a big difference between being a successful fighter in the UFC and being a star. But this fighter has clearly found the formula to be both, as several impressive wins in the Octagon have seen him make his way up the welterweight ladder and capture the imagination of fans eager to see him perform on the sport's biggest stage. That's it for today. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, I'm Megan O'Leary, and here's what you need to know for your UFC Minute. It came as a shock to the MMA community when this fighter left his longtime gym recently. But that surprise was nothing compared to the reaction felt around the globe when he agreed to fight his longtime training partner in a compelling matchup that highlights this weekend's UFC card at Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. I'm Megan O'Leary, and this is your UFC Minute. As a fighter's wins begin to add up, the pressure to maintain momentum becomes a major factor. To win in the UFC isn't easy. To do it as many times in a row as this welterweight standout has is a remarkable feat that has this fighter on the verge of even more big things in the world-renowned Octagon, as he prepares for his latest battle in mixed martial arts' ultimate proving ground. That's it for today.
Fighters fight for many different reasons. Some do it for the fame, others do it for the money. Eventually, all of that fades away. Yet going down in the history books as a UFC champion is something no one can ever take. It's proof that for a moment in time, out of all the fighters in your weight class, you were the best in the world. It's the culmination of all your hard work, the fulfillment of a dream. Tonight is your chance to take that gold belt and hear Bruce Buffer say, "And new." That kind of glory lasts forever.
Hey everyone, I'm Megan O'Leary, and it's time for your UFC Minute. The MMA world is buzzing about that incredible performance this past weekend in the main event. Last weekend at Air Canada Centre in Toronto, Ontario, it was a night to remember for the mixed martial artist whose story has captured the imagination of fans around the globe as he fought the fight of his life when it mattered the most. When the dust settled, Bruce Buffer said, "And new." And he was crowned UFC welterweight champion of the world thanks to a memorable performance. Everyone, I'm Megan O'Leary, and here's what you need to know for your UFC Minute. When the UFC welterweight champion won his belt, no one knew what to expect from the fighter with the exciting style and unyielding confidence. Yet since that memorable title-winning night, he has successfully defended the belt multiple times, and he shows no signs of slowing down as his next title defense approaches. That's it for today. Stay tuned.
Some paths must eventually cross. And as two of the greatest fighters in the UFC kept dominating their opposition, it was inevitable that this moment would come. When the octagon door closes for tonight's super fight, the talk will be over, and the entire sports world will come to a halt. This is no ordinary fight. It's a battle between two champions, willing to put their own divisional crowns on the line to prove themselves worthy to be on top. And when the dust settles, there can only be one winner, a king with two crowns.
I'm Megan O'Leary, and this is your UFC Minute. Remember when we were telling you that you shouldn't miss this past weekend's monumental super fight? I hate to be that person, but we told you so. The fans were buzzing, the world was watching, and the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey was at capacity last weekend when the UFC welterweight champion challenged the middleweight title holder in an epic super fight. When it was over, he had silenced the critics and made history as one of only a handful of fighters to become a world champion in 2 weight classes. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute. Hey everyone, I'm Megan O'Leary, and here's what you need to know for your UFC Minute. There comes a point in almost every fighter's career when what got them to the big dance just isn't enough anymore. That was the case this week when it was announced that the up-and-coming middleweight competitor will change gyms in order to work on his jiu-jitsu game on a more consistent basis. That's it for today. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, I'm Megan O'Leary, and here's what you need to know for your UFC Minute. It's starting to become a welcomed habit for UFC fans. See the name of this fighter on the card, and excitement will always follow. If you need proof, it's right there on the record of this middleweight, as he's won several Performance of the Night bonuses since he made his Octagon debut. Hey everyone, I'm Megan O'Leary, and here's what you need to know for your UFC Minute. In mixed martial arts, if you're not evolving, you're losing. So, in an effort to make sure he continues on the right path to the top of the middleweight division, this fighter announced this week that in order to keep building his skill set, he was packing his bags and leaving the gym where he got his start.
Greatness is a feat chased by many, but achieved by few in the UFC. To get there, it takes more than talent and skill. To be great, it also takes heart, determination, the willingness to fight the best, and the ability to beat them.
He's a legend, a big staple in the sport and a pioneer in MMA.
Over the course of his UFC career, this fighter has done that and more. taking the sport to a new level in the process.
He's been a world champion in multiple weight classes. He's made a ton of money, and he's achieved everything he'd ever wanted.
There is no question that he is the greatest of all time.
Hey everyone, I'm Megan O'Leary, and here's what you need to know for your UFC Minute. In every combat sport, it's a well-known fact that it's harder to defend a title than to win it. So when the UFC middleweight champion set the record for the most title defenses, it marked this longtime champion as not only the most dominant title holder ever seen in the octagon, but as a legitimate and likely Hall of Fame candidate. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights.